All right, so I'm also have a 2019 Honda Passport. This is the Sport Edition, so this is going to be essentially your base trim level model. So I just want to give you an idea and a shot of it so you can see that the black wheels, fog lights come standard, the black grille, black mirror covers. It does come with body colored door panels, which isn't typical on a lot of my base model vehicles. So this way you can get kind of an idea for this. And this is the copper color, and you can see it's badged on the back with Sport. I have this sitting next to a Pilot, so just so you can get an idea. The difference between these two is about 6 inches as far as the length of the car, but you'll notice the body, you don't have the body colored door handles. Your mirrors are black just like this edition. I've got a little bit different wheel setup, and then I have a chrome grille on this vehicle. So this way you can compare the two and have a better understanding for, hey, how are these vehicles different? Your grille's a little bit different, your grille's a little bit different. So I just wanted to start there because I commonly get this question, hey, what's the difference between the two really? So let's start at the back of the vehicle because I want to show you one of the big differences, and that's that this car seats 5, so you have additional storage as far as space goes. So let me pop this open. Now in the back you can see I've got a good amount of space that I'm working from here because I don't have a third row in the vehicle. So that way you can get an idea for this. Now if I was in a Pilot, I'll walk over to one since I've got it sitting next to it. Hopefully this one's open and we'll show you that. You can see that in the back of this vehicle, I've got a little bit different storage setup, so I'm gonna close that, but then if I have my seats up, I'm losing some space, right? So I've only got that much space to work from. Now, if I have my seats down, these two cars share a lot in common. So as far as that goes, you can see your spacing line up, and then moving over to this car, it's gonna look pretty darn familiar, right? So now in this one, you'll notice that the storage unit down here is a little bit different. It folds open. So I've got extra storage here, and then I have some additional other storage right down over here, and then you'll notice my spare is actually here. So in the other car, it's gonna be underneath the vehicle. So a little bit different setup as far as that goes. So let me put this back. I've got some extra storage here, some extra storage here. If I need to throw these seats down, I absolutely can. I have buttons that I can press right here to do so. So know that you have those available to you if you need to use them. Something I'll point out while I'm back here is over here you'll notice there's this little panel. So let's say that your gas cap won't open from the button inside that I'll show you in a minute. You can pull this and that'll actually pop open your gas cap. So now you'll notice my gas cap is open so I can get to it. It is a fuelless cap, so I don't have a cap that's actually on there I have to tighten up and worry about not tightening it and then setting off the check engine light. So you've got a cap with a valve on there. Now if you ran out of gas and needed to fill it up using a gas can, that is what that tube right there is for, because you're going to need that to hold it open while you're trying to put the gas can in there. So just be aware that that is what that is for in case you run into that issue. So that's the back and how it differs from a Pilot. Now let's move into the second row and show you a couple things. So second row, I've got a cloth black interior. That's just standard because this is a Sport model's base. So you can see the finish and everything on it. I do have a fold down center seat, which is kind of nice to be able to use. I do have air vents in the back, so I'll point those out too. And then I have some storage space down here, along with in the back of the seats, and then cup holders and stuff like that. So that's what's going on from your second row inside of this vehicle. These are adjustable, so they're on a slide shift. You can see right here that I can adjust. Now moving up into the front row. We'll point out a few things as we go here. So the first thing I'll point out is the stereo system. It's a classic stereo, so just so you can see it, classic buttons and knobs. A lot of people that move up a model, that's going to be what pushes them up. But let's start on the left side and just kind of work your way across. So I've got my window controls, my auto up and down one touch for driver and passenger side, my door locks, and of course my window locks if I need to. Down below you'll see I've got my gas cap if I need to pop it, and then down over on the side I've got my hood release, so everything's pretty easy to see. Now moving over onto the dash, let's point out a couple buttons here and explain what they are. The first one is with this light, so that is road departure mitigation. This car has Honda sensing on it, so it's some corrective driving features to help you out. If you are driving off the shoulder of the road right now, the default settings, it will give you an audible alert and shake the wheel to let you know, hey, wake up, pay attention, you're driving off the shoulder of the road. So that's this one. So if I turn it off, you'll see the LED comes off. Now the one above that is collision mitigation braking. That works with your traction control. So in the event that you go into a skid, it'll transfer, or excuse me, sorry, vehicle stability assist is right here. This is collision mitigation braking. So let me back up there a little bit. Collision mitigation braking is set up to where if it's looking like I'm going to rear end a car, first it'll give me an audible alert and flash in the dash, then it'll actually apply the brakes to prevent the accident. So this is always running unless I press and hold, and then it'll eventually turn off. So it takes 2 to 3 seconds to turn this off. So I have to press and hold it, turn it back on. Now you can see it's back on, right? So that's what collision mitigation braking is. Now vehicle stability assist is what I started to jump the gun on there. That is if I lose traction, like when I go into a skid, it'll transfer power to whichever wheel is getting better traction to help correct that skid, and then go from there. It uses your anti-lock brakes in the system too, so it's going to help to correct that skid. That's what this is for. The only time you'd maybe want to turn this off is if you're stuck in the mud and you want to spin your tires or somebody's trying to push you out or something like that. So that's what the purpose of this is. Now, right above these buttons, I've got a couple other. I've got the Econ button right here, where if I press that, you'll see Econ light up here, and then you'll see a green leaf pop on there to let me know. Now, what this button does is shuts down some of the electrical systems in the front end of the car. It affects things like your accelerator and how fast you'll take off, but it improves gas mileage. That's the purpose of this button. You can use it anytime. I tell most people, if you're more heavy-footed, maybe you turn it on and off as you go. If you're a more conservative driver, just turn it on, leave it on forever, and you'll get the better gas mileage. So just something to keep in mind. Now over here is your mirror controls. So I would just switch over to left or right, and then I can adjust on my mirror. So that's just how those work, so you know. So mirror controls, don't think I need to touch too much on that. Now moving on to the steering wheel. The first thing I'll start off is on the left side. Your Bluetooth controls are right here, so to answer a phone call, to hang up a phone call, or to use voice command. So this could come into play as far as Bluetooth is a call so-and-so, that sort of thing. Above that, source button. So it's a little bit different from my other vehicles. The source button's kind of nice because it'll allow me to touch it and jump between FM, AM, USB, Bluetooth, whatever I have connected up to the car. I don't have anything connected to the car into, so that's the only two it's toggling through. So it's just kind of nice to have a quick jump right there. Your home button is going to jump and pull up this menu screen. Now from this menu screen, you can actually do quite a few things. As it says, you can show and hide apps. So if there's an app you never use, you could hide it. But trip computer, this is going to give you, how many miles on this tank of gas, which is 390 right now, current and previous trips. You can see how many miles I have on this car down there in the bottom. I've got 9 miles on the car. So if I jump back to the home button, maintenance, this will give me my oil life or my tire pressure. Tire pressure is kind of nice because it tells you per tire versus just, hey, you have a tire that's low and then you have to go check them all. So kind of nice to have that. And then oil life, it'll tell me what percentage I'm at. At 15%, the car will alert you to let you know, hey, it's time to go in, set up an appointment and get your your oil changed. It'll also give you a code A1B1, A2B2, and you can look that up in your book, and it'll tell you exactly what they're going to recommend when you get there. So that way you don't have to worry about feeling upselled or wondering if it's something that I should be expecting. So give you a heads up. Now down below the maintenance, you'll see settings. So this is actually going to be important in this vehicle because you can do a couple things. First thing I'll show you is you can turn the tachometer on and off. So if you don't really want it up there and you want a little bit more plain look, you can do that. And then vehicle customization. So this is like door and window locks, lighting setups, some of the Honda sensing stuff, having beeps be on, like audible alerts and different things like that. So the first thing I want to start you at down here is probably going to be your door setup, just because this is the most classic thing. So door locks, right now when you hit 10 miles an hour to automatically lock the doors, that's what that is right there. And then below it, unlocks. So when you open your driver's side door, it then unlocks the remaining doors of the car. And if you wanted to change that, you could select it here. So just some basic door lock settings. So I wanted to make sure you know what's going on from that standpoint. Walkaway auto lock, super cool feature. This currently is turned off. I really like this feature. I usually turn it on for most of my customers. What this is if I get out of the car, I have the key with me and I get 9 to 10 feet from the car, it's going to automatically lock the doors. So if you're the person who gets halfway into the grocery store and goes, I don't remember if I locked the doors, you probably want to turn this feature on because the default is for this to be off. So just keep that in mind. So plenty of different things that you can look in here and play with. Driver assisted setup, this is where I was saying turning the audible alerts on for like the forward collision warning system, the beep for the ACC, which is adaptive cruise control, which I'll go over here in a second, but just some different things you can play with, so just keep that in mind. Now, if you need to adjust the volume in this vehicle, you would do so using these buttons right here. So that's how this works. And then obviously I can jump between my favorite tracks right here, or I can jump between my favorite stations. So when I'm pressing this, you'll see it's toggling over stations over here. So that's just how it works. And then up and down is what I was using on the menu screen up here. And then to select, I was pressing enter. And if you need to back out of a screen, use the back button right here. Moving over to the right side, so this is some additional Honda sensing features, so corrective driving features. The first one is lane keep assist. So if you have the main button on, you're going to see ACC and LKS come on. That's adaptive cruise control lane keep assist. Now, lane keep assist is the one I'm going to start you on, and that's right here. What it does is when I press this button, you're going to see dotted lines come on up here. When I'm going over 45 miles an hour, those will fill in solid because it's now reading the lines on the road. And how it's doing that is it's using a camera up in this box to detect those lines. So if I start to drift out of my lane, it'll just correct and pull the steering wheel a little bit left or right. Now, if I use my blinker, it's not going to do that, but this is what it's designed for. If you're taking trips and you need that little bit of extra help to focus, it's a good feature to have on. Now, next to that is going to be my adaptive cruise control. So I'm going to show you how adaptive cruise control works and then how to switch over to classic cruise. So if I get up to my speed I want to set, I would press set. From there, it would then show me what speed I have held right there. From there, I can select this button, and this is going to show me how much distance it's going to keep between me and the car in front of me. So the more boxes you see up there, the more space it's going to hold. So if I set it to 70, set all those boxes, anytime somebody jumps in front of me, it'll slow down and keep that designated space. And it'll slow down if it needs to be at 60 to keep that space, and then when I get out from behind them, it'll speed back up to my designated speed I picked. So that's how adaptive cruise control works. Now, if you're saying to yourself, hey, Justin, that's great and all, but I just want a classic cruise setup. I don't know that I'll mess with that. No big deal. Just press and hold here, and then it'll flip over and just say cruise mode selected. Now that's classic cruise, right? If I press the same thing again, now I've switched back to the adaptive cruise mode, right? So easy to do. All you're doing is pressing and holding this button for a couple seconds. So that's how the cruise control works on this. Now this car does have paddle shifters, so I'm going to point them out. I've got a plus and a minus over here. So this will allow me to upshift and downshift the car. So it gives me a little bit more control over the shifting of the vehicle. You don't necessarily have to use this, but you have it available to you if you want it. Now over on the left side, I'm going to point out your stock over here. So my auto on-off headlights, and then this car does have fog lights, as I pointed out earlier, from outside the car to turn them on and to leave those to auto. That's how I would set that. And then over on the other side, my windshield wiper control. So pull down to use your fronts, and then adjust here to use your backs. And then it is intermittent, so I'm just going to point that out real quick. So that's what's going on from that standpoint. Now, moving along, I will point out that hidden back over here, if you can see it, is going to be, you know, if I need to adjust the brightness of my screen, different things like that, so if I want to play with that. So it's just a little bit hidden, so that's what's back here. It is a push button start, so you saw that right there. Just want to make sure that you've got an opportunity to see it since I had the car started when I walked out here. The car does have a remote start, so I'll just point that out. On the key to use a remote start, you'll always press the lock button first and then press and hold the remote start button to start it up. It'll run for 10 minutes. If I want to extend it another 10, press that same sequence again, it'll run for another 10. To turn the car off, if I had it cranked up, press the unlock button and then press and hold the remote start button, and that would turn it off. So that's just how this works on here, right? So we have a general understanding of that. This just unlocks the trunk. The Sport model does not come with a powered trunk. Occasionally I get that question when they see that button. So it'll unlock it versus unlocking all the doors. And then press and hold to set off the alarm. And then on the back, there's a small switch you can pull. It does have like a setup to have like a valet setup. So if I want to do that, I can do it with one hand here. I could hand this piece to the valet guy and then keep my keys on my key ring, which I just dropped. So I could hand that to the valet guy, or in this sense, I could keep all my keys on my key ring like it's set up here. Or if I killed the battery of the car, I could use this to be able to unlock the doors and get my belongings out. So that's how the key works there. So I'm just gonna set that to the side. Now moving over to the screen, I'll just touch base on this quickly. It's pretty simple setup. Jumping to radio, if I wanna jump between media, USB, Bluetooth, anything like that to listen to audio, that's how I do it, to turn the stereo on and off. That's how I do that. To connect up to Bluetooth, if you've never connected a phone, you'll just go there, use this to toggle down to select it, and then press yes, and then search for your phone here once you do that. If you need to add more than one phone, press the menu button down here, and then we want to scroll down to settings, and then we want to go to Bluetooth, add a new device, and then this would prompt you that same setup. So I could add a second or a third phone to my car. So that's how you do that. So I'm just going to back out of this screen, right? Over here's my general controls for like equalizer. So if I want to play with those things, I absolutely can. That's what's going on right here. So I'm not going to touch too much on that. The menu button over here will give you some different options as far as, you know, settings if I want to change the display, rear camera if I want to see guidelines or not, display change if I want to see audio versus a wallpaper that I have. Like if I want to put a custom one, I absolutely can. I would just plug in the USB, and then you can see import once I have a USB selected. So you can plug into the USB, which is right down here, thumb drive, have a JPEG or PNG file, and you could upload that image onto there. So it's kind of cool if you want to customize your car. So that's just a rundown of the stereo real quick, if you're looking for that classic setup. My controls for my AC are right here. So you can see I have left, right, and rear controls on the vehicle. I have them synced right now, so they're all adjusting on my side. If I unsync, then I can adjust, you know, things separately, jump over to the rear, change their temperature, and do all that. And then you can see I've got 3 different temperatures going. I've got an auto on-off, you know, or auto where it'll adjust the cabin to whatever the speed is. So I'm not going to touch on this much. I think most people know how AC controls work. Down below, I've got the USB that you just saw. I have a power outlet here. If I jump into the center console, I have another power outlet and USB in there additionally too, along with some storage here with a rubber matte finish on the bottom, and here too. And if you get anything on it, you can pull it off and clean it off. So both of those allow that. So point of contention for a lot of people, they struggle with this, and I'll just briefly touch on it. It's not a classic shifter. No big deal though. It gives you some extra space here. You can set stuff on top of it. It just gives you more openness through here. To switch to reverse, I throw it in reverse. It lights up here. It tells me I'm in reverse there, and then a dead giveaway. My backup camera pops on. I've got 3 different views on this backup camera. To switch between them, I just press here. So you can see wide angle, giving me a little bit more view, classic backup camera, and then ape straight down. You see the edge of my bumper. This dotted line is where the hatch hatch opens up to. And if I'm parallel parking, this solid line right here is where I want to have the car on the other side. This is a perfect example. If my kid left his bike back there and I couldn't see it looking behind me, where these floor mats are, I could see it here though. So this is a really helpful view to see stuff behind you. So that's reverse. Switching over to neutral, same thing, lights up, drive, lights up and lets you know, and you always get the indicators here too. If I want to switch traction control settings, I've got normal and snow on this vehicle, so it just offsets the shifting points in the vehicle to allow you to get a little bit better traction in case you run into this issue. Car does have an idle start-stop on it. I occasionally get people like, hey, I'm not a big fan of that feature. Can I turn it off? Absolutely, you can. So when you get in the car and you crank it up, you can press this, and that way when you come to lights, it won't turn the car off, even though it'll leave the electronics and the AC on. So if you prefer not to have that on, you have a button right here for it. I've got cup holders here, cup holders over there in the doors, cup holders in the back doors you saw, cup holders in the center console seat that I had flipped down earlier. So lots of places to store drinks. Above me, it's just a classic, black matte finish on the ceiling too. Doesn't have a moonroof or anything. You need to climb models for that. Regular mirror controls, and then just what I call normal new car stuff. I don't think it needs a lot of explanation. Just hey, a sunglass holder and a mirror to keep an eye on the kiddos in the back or the dogs, whatever it may be. If you have any questions about the car, feel free to reach out. You can always call me at 512-443-4300 and ask for Justin Fuller. You can comment on the YouTube video. I'm pretty good about getting back to everybody there. Ship Bark. Good point. Or you can email me, the letter J, and then Fuller, Fuller, at howdyhonda.com. You can email me there. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you. I'd be more than happy to help you out. Thank you much.